Hey guys, welcome back to PG Mid-Atlantic Spittin' Seeds podcast. My name's Gary Wilson. I'm here with John McAdams, and today we have a special guest, Pat Fisher, founder and director of South Jersey Young Guns. How you doing, Pat?
Doing great. Thanks for having me today, Gary.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. How's everybody doing, in regards to the coronavirus with your family, your program? Is everybody staying safe?
For me, my family's doing well, and as far as I know, in Young Guns Nation, uh, everybody's doing okay.
Good.
Good.
Good. It's always great to hear that, everybody's healthy. Sucks when you hear somebody's sick. I don't know if you know John Galante, the
Oh yeah.
umpire signer. He had it for a while. I talked to him last week. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and he was on day 11. His girlfriend was on day 6, and, they were struggling. He said
I did not know that.
yeah, it's not fun. So hopefully they're doing well, and hopefully, everybody in your program's doing well. It's
Yeah.
nothing to joke around with.
No, not at all.
All right, well, good deal. Hey, before we get into baseball, this is the Spittin' Seeds podcast, so I got to ask you, what's your favorite sunflower seed?
I gotta go pumpkin.
Whoa,
Whoa.
Gotta
pumpkin.
go pumpkin.
I
Yeah,
like
I
it.
don't. I don't do seeds like I used to back in the day. I had a
Gotcha.
I had an intestinal thing waiting. That was a pretty big scare.
Yeah.
Turned out having a bag of seeds a game was not the way to go anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I would
We do
stop.
pumpkin.
Pumpkin seeds are a sleeper for sure. Good deal. All right, cool. Well, I just want to talk to you a little bit. Everybody's locked in the house, or at least, locked in their backyard, can't really associate with many of their teammates, their coaches, their instructors, anything like that. I know you know this since, you're a college coach and a travel ball director, so you're experiencing on, different sides of the spectrum. But I see a lot of videos of these kids doing things to keep themselves busy and keep training. But I want to know from you, like what ideas do you have, or maybe what have you told your kids to do during this hiatus from baseball to keep active and stay in shape?
Well, originally, didn't envision it was going to be this long,
Yeah,
and we're even still wondering when is the light at the end of the tunnel.
exactly.
So what I originally thought was just going to be a 1 or 2 weekend, fork in the road. It's becoming clear. It looks like May 1st will probably, hopefully, be our best chance to get out there. So I've told the kids, focus on things you can control, like use your bands. Tee work in the garage or in the backyard if your dad can take you to the cage and maybe lawn toss and get some swings in. Those are things you can control. Running, I would really focus more on sprints. I think baseball is more of a sprinting than a marathon, so everything should be sprint, sprint, sprints,
Yeah.
explosions. And the older guys in the program, if they have access to weights, because all the gyms are closed right now, they just get some lifts in to maintain. You may not be able to get stronger, but let's certainly not get weaker in this process as well. So that's pretty much what I've been communicating with the parents and the players.
Right. And has anybody, in your program been sending you videos? Have you been tracking their progression? What have you guys been doing to stay in touch?
This just being on Zoom and a podcast with you is a big technological step for me. Uh, I'm old school. I text, I email. The Snapchats and all that, I'm not real big on, but I do know that it's the way the kids are at. And I just can tell with the parent feedback, and some texting with the players, they're doing the right thing,
Yeah.
and the bottom line is everybody wants to get back on the field, and it's just a tough time. It's just been really just a crazy process. Never seen anything like this.
Yeah, it is tough. And like you were saying, nobody knows when it's going to end or when we're going to be out in the field. Trump put the stay-at-home policy through April. May 1st is our best outcome right now. But, the biggest thing for everybody and, myself included is just I, how do we set goals for something that we don't know is going to come,
That's a
right?
good point.
So it's like do everything you can to stay in shape, but it's almost like just like the big leaguers, all of these guys are going to need their own spring training before they can start up tournaments or leagues or anything like that too.
Yeah, 100%. The one thing I'm worried about is, the kids did all the right things working in the winter, getting ready for high school. The younger guys getting ready for, the March tournaments. Now that we've been shut down, I usually would have pitch counts around 40 to 50. And at this time, May, we'd be hoping, be in that 60 to 70 pitch range. I'm really worried about arm injuries, especially on the travel ball circuit. The kids, they're just going to make mistakes and coaches are going to allow it to go on. I think that's, hopefully we don't see that happening, but I'm worried that that is going to be a result of this virus
Yeah.
thing we
Sure, and
get.
I think too. I mean, some of the talk, like you said, with being old school mentality and so forth too. Us at PG, we obviously use Pitch Smart and so forth too, but there may have to be even further guidelines
Yeah.
that's either put in place and have the ultimate responsibility. Obviously, is up to the coach and so forth too, because there's ways around everything. But I think we're going to see potential for whether it's if the high school kids do get back, which we don't know, and then once travel ball happens, like you said. I mean, by the time May, June comes around, these kids are in that 75, 85, 95, whatever the pitch threshold is. So it's going to be interesting. Have you seen any kids? I mean, you're old school, as we know, just innovative ways to kind of keep the long tossing or the arm strength kind of in play to see when we finally get back on the field.
Well, I think that the pitchers have been long tossing. Uh, the head coach at Rutgers Camden, Ryan Kolick, just a great, phenomenal dude. He was involved with the Young Guns for a long, long time before he became the head coach. And like he'll send out workouts that the kids can be doing, uh, so they have all access to that. And he just is so innovative and in front of the curve. I just fully embrace everything that that he has these kids doing with, so that hopefully we don't have these issues with the injuries. So.
Yeah, and speaking of, Ryan Kulik and your guys' partnership over there, Rutgers Camden, that's got to be a real bummer coming in, first year and the season is canceled.
Season's canceled. We were 5-1. It was just an unbelievable. My hat's off to Coach Kolick as the head coach and the kids just working their tails off, doing all the right things, and then it gets taken away from you. Originally, the Florida trip gets canceled, and we were 48 hours away from getting on the plane and getting down there. To then we were just hoping we would get the NJAC season in, and then really have to deal with a half dozen seniors finding out that their season's been canceled. You want to talk, about a reality check and how important baseball is to some guys' lives. Friendships and competing. It's tough, and
Yeah.
three of the guys are going to exercise their eligibility and come back, which is great. But the real world is calling some of these other guys. They got an accounting degree, their business degree, and they're interviewing for jobs. So that was, it's just kind of unique to be in baseball where, sometimes I'm running around with 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 16-year-old guys. And then also seeing the impact at the college level as well. It's hit everybody,
Yeah.
and from a 13-year-old kid just being upset, not really understanding what's going on, but to see college guys just move to tears, because they've formed lifelong bonds out there, and it's tough. It
Yeah.
is tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's cool that, a couple of guys are using their extra year of eligibility, but,
Yeah.
some guys are looking to go make that money. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's D3 baseball,
hmm
I think it's pretty pure, and I think it's pretty good stuff.
yeah,
Sure.
good deal. Well, hey, let's move to the young guns.
Sure.
You guys have been around for a while. I mean, in the past couple of years, you've really been dominating some age groups in the regional tournaments, and we've been
Thank you.
covering you and following you heavily. But just for anybody who views this podcast, can you tell us a little bit about the Young Guns mission and maybe some things that you guys are working towards, whether that be getting the little guys into high schools, private high schools, or getting the older guys into colleges, kind of what you guys do and how you walk them through the journey.
Well, we started in 2001. I started coaching travel in 1999, but in 2001 started the Young Guns. And the main thing is I try not to put an imprint of this is what I want to do. I try and provide an environment of just good baseball, good training, and I want to make good teammates. I want to develop work ethic. And really, I think, when we travel like down south, there's this impression that Jersey guys are gritty.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do believe that. I want to have that kind of a toughness in our kids. And then the one thing I haven't even touched on, probably should mention first, is that you have fun doing it all. So if we're able to do all those things as far as competing, winning, developing individuals, and having everybody buy into a team mindset and be gritty and compete at a regional and national level, I mean, that's really what it's all about. So that's kind of what we try to do. And it's been a lot of fun.
Sure. Now, as far as your experience, obviously, like you said, starting it in 2001, you've had numerous players go throughout the program. And in today's technological age and programs you see within the region, throughout the country, there's certain things to try to navigate this ever winding road of recruiting. As they get into high school, I mean, your experience as a college coach with yourself at Rowan and now Rutgers Camden, how do you guys help them navigate the road? Is there things, I mean, we've seen and talked to programs that use such things as sports recruits. Others, just like I'm assuming or thinking yourself, just the relationships that you've built over the course of time, the friends that you've accumulated within the coaching world. How do you guys kind of walk them through this process?
Well, my main thing with recruiting, number one, is the better you are. I mean, if you're running, a sub 7, 60, if you're throwing the ball harder than 84 and you hit like a man or you dominate on the mound, it's amazing how recruiting becomes very, very easy.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And I think you got to be very realistic with the parents. If they're expecting ACC opportunities or Division I, this, that, and the other thing, you got to have that conversation. And, where there's a place for a kid to play baseball. And so once we've established that hurdle, when I reach out to a college coach, I like to think that, I've been doing it for so many years, that if they get an email or a text or a call, that I'm not wasting their time, that this kid's got a talent and I feel like it's a pretty good fit. I'm not calling Kevin Snow at Coastal unless I really, really got a dude.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I've had 2 kids, go to Coastal. One's a PG guy, Jimmy Birmingham, that I coached way, way back in the day, and I believe he's down in Georgia now.
Yep.
With the
With
perfect
the
game
with
farm.
the 89ers, right?
Yes, sir. That was it. That's when we started in '89. Did we play you at all, Gary?
No,
Were
I
you a
didn't. I
dog?
didn't play travel ball back then.
You were a Marlton Red, probably.
Marlton Red.
Yeah.
True. So yeah, just to go back to it, I mean, the relationships, and sometimes I think people get lost, whether it's technology driven. And at the end of the day, like you said, you could pick up the phone. You're not going to call a specific school unless that kid seems like he's a fit for their mentality, the way
Right.
they build their program, and kind of go from there. So that's to go back to your guys' testament of that gritty New Jersey player. And yeah, there is a stigma that they are tough and they go down and go to certain places and just add a toughness that's usually necessary on a roster. So that's good to see. You're keeping your relationships. You're using your relationships to help these kids move on to college.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I mean, trophies are nice, but really at the end of the day is that you develop these kids to become better people. Hopefully they get an opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. I love that you said that. Trophies are nice, but a lot of people put a lot of weight into winning these trophies, and I've always believed, and it's a huge reason why I, work for Perfect Game and believe in Perfect Game is because, I like to see these kids become better people and move on to the next level, no matter if that's professional, D1, D2, D3, JUCO, right? Just to have them have the opportunity to get a little money in school and have an experience in college playing baseball. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, baseball is a great vehicle for kids to get their degrees and, become good citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. It creates, not only when you're in college, which is really like revamped, like on steroids. But no matter when you're playing, it helps you with some kind of structure in life.
Agreed.
Whether that structure is created in your workouts, your long toss program, your whatever you're doing in baseball. There's a structure created, but you can use that structure that you've created in baseball to bring it out into your life and the outside world, even when baseball is no longer there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Guy. I think that's spot on.
Sure. And now, as we kind of move, we've talked about the program, the mission, what you guys are garnering or doing to kind of help these guys navigate that crazy road of recruiting. My standpoint as a national scouting coordinator for Perfect Game, I'm always looking at players, and guys that maybe we do know of, don't know of, and so forth too. I'm going to rattle off a couple names. You can give me your insight, kind of how they're progressing, what's to come from them, and then any sleepers that you may have. And the first guy that I have is probably maybe the epitome of that grit or toughness that we talk about. A kid like Jordan Gray, kid who's always on the mound,
Yep.
comes at you, bulldog mentality. Maybe his stuff doesn't dictate that he ended up being a D1 guy, but every time we look, he's mowing guys down. He's winning games. I think he committed to College of New Jersey
Yeah.
recently. And then another kid, that Coastal Carolina kid, the 2022 that you guys have in your program, Caden Bodine.
Yeah.
Catcher, obviously, versatile enough. He plays football, so he's got some athleticism, so he probably potentially could play other positions as well. And then a guy who I think is going to take this scene potentially this summer, who's garnered a lot of early looks, whether it's by social media, is the 2023 Justin Sweeney.
Yeah.
The velocity's gone up. He was always projectable. He was always raw. Now it looks like he's kind of making that turn to where he's going to be a big time pitching prospect. So if you want to expound upon those guys, add any guys in. I know some of your 2024s are very talented as well, like a Bruce Parker or Sam Winsett. So I just
Brian?
wanted to rattle off some names.
Real quick with Jordan Gray, I've known him since he was 12, and the part that just makes him so good is he doesn't know how he doesn't understand limitations, and with, being an 83, 84 guy with pretty good spin, he competes and he thinks that he could go out there and, beat anybody on any given day.
It's
And
half
that's
the
really,
battle right there.
yeah, it was made him, a competitor, and he's going to TCNJ. So now I got to deal with him for 4 years in the NJAC. And, which is cool, to see at the college level run into some guys. It's really neat. Caden Bodine, he's really just going to focus on baseball from here on out.
Okay.
He's committed to Coastal. Things that make him, just a really special player is he's a switch hitter. He's a catcher. He's pretty much eliminated a running game. If the pitcher can get the ball in a reasonable amount of time to the plate, it's going to be very difficult to steal him. He leads by example. He's not a real chatty guy. He leads by example. His work ethic's phenomenal. And his parents are grounded and really got him, at a high level. I think that's a kid who could, sign a pro contract someday. And he's got a high ceiling. The Sweeney kid, I couldn't agree with you more. Christian Lee is doing a phenomenal job of getting him ready. His arm is long and loose. I think he's going to be, a Big Ten, ACC, maybe even an SEC guy. There's a little interest in Tennessee, which is exciting, and we'll see what happens. He's got to put his time in. Bruce Parker, the 14-year-old kid that you mentioned, kid's got a lot of tools. He's definitely going to be a Division I hitter. I don't know if it's going to be at shortstop, but he's just so darn talented at this age. Who knows? Maybe he moves to a corner or something like that. But again,
Sure.
that kid's work ethic, similar to Caden Bowenheim, very quiet demeanor, leads by example. I don't want to go on too long, but I do think there's some guys that Christian Lee has with the 15s and 16s. Nick Spaventa,
Yep.
a freshman at GCIT. The kid can hit at a very high level. The better the pitching, the shorter his swing. I think there's some freshmen out at Shawnee, O'Brien, Max Kaufer, and a sophomore, Ethan Bowen. I think those guys, could all be Division I guys if they stay on track. And the part that's just disappointing is all these guys put their time in. They were ready, for the high school season. And then, the virus comes, no fault of their own. And they're just going to have to deal with the frustration and really hopefully just channel it, properly when we finally do get outside there, playing some baseball. I don't want to leave anybody out, but yeah, Sean Perkins was a kid I had down there, and Jeremy Wolf, as some guys that I think are going to be really good middle infield type. They might have to move over to second base, but I could see them playing Division I, mid D1, real strong D2, and certainly like an NJAC type conference D3.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to real quick, take it back to what you said about, these kids, they were all prepared for their seasons, and now they're going to have to deal with it. Not only staying ready physically, but ready mentally. And it was something that we talked about last week, because we were having a lot of discussion about the shortened seasons and the fifth year for the senior, or the extra year of eligibility for the seniors, and how college is just going to be loaded with guys, and these incoming freshmen, it's going to be like they're 17, 18 years old, and now you have
Yeah,
these seniors who have an extra year of eligibility. There might be 23, 24, 25 years old, depending on if they were shirted or not. But
exactly.
it's going to be like at the top, there's going to be grown men, and then you have these 17, 18-year-old kids who, are turning into men. But really, it's like what's going to stand out is going to be their mental capacity, and when they step on campus, who are they going to be, right? And it's same with the guys you're talking about who are in middle school or high school. When baseball is here and we're ready to play again, after all of the frustration that they had, who are they mentally going to be out on the field?
Correct. I mean, that's the challenge within the challenge.
Yep.
No doubt about it. And I think what you're saying with these kids going to college and those guys staying in there now, how does an 18-year-old kid compete with a 22-year-old kid who's got 3-4 years in the weight room on him, who can take a college season 40, 55 games? And it's a grind. I mean, we like to say that word, it's a grind, travel guys grind. But, college baseball, that's a grind.
It's a
And,
different animal
yeah.
because
But I do think
you're
travel
playing
does
the
a good job of
weekends.
preparing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the week at, sorry for stepping on your toes there,
no,
Gary, is
no.
that in Georgia, that week, national tournament, that is a good slice of what college baseball, it can be like. You got to have that discipline. You're on the road, you got to play a game, and then you got to shut it down, and then you got to get your sleep, rest. And some people got to do a light full body workout so that they recover and are now productive as a position guy or getting ready for the start. And so I do think that Georgia tournament is really, really a good primer, for a taste of college baseball.
Yeah, and that's just what I was going to touch on with, the weekend tournaments that we have around here. You could play 5, 6, 7 games in the weekend, and it's hectic, but then you get the whole week to relax and rest. Whereas in college baseball, you're having that weekend series where you're playing 3, maybe 4 games, depending on the scenario. But then you go midweek and you're playing 2, 3 games
Yeah.
too, while the off days practicing and lifting weights. So it is a grind. It's a different animal, and
And you
it's
got a paper due on Wednesday.
yeah, exactly.
Factor that in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different, and you know hopefully, travel ball and everything that's going on right now will prepare everybody for what they're about to walk into.
Yeah, I agree. I hope so.
Well, Pat, it's been a pleasure talking with you. We appreciate you being on. Thanks for sharing about your program and your players. We give all our best to your families,
Thank
and
you.
we hope to see you on the field soon. Not only travel ball, but your new college gig too.
All right, sounds good. John, Garrett,
Thanks,
thanks for
Pat.
having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
talk
you.
soon. Thanks, Pat.
All right, be safe, guys.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.